Strategies for multiple choice, AP English, language, and composition questions. Managing the multiple choice questions. Approaching an unknown reading passage can be intimidating in an exam setting. Here are some ways to approach the multiple choice reading section. This presentation will give you some advice and some common practice questions with explanations. So also we will be practicing these many times in class and looking at different strategies to approach these multiple choice questions. There's really no need to be intimidated. Once you have the terms and knowledge that you need, you can do these quite easily. What to expect on the exam? The multiple choice section is normally 60 minutes long and consists of about 55 questions. You should expect 4 reading passages that represent a variety of rhetorical modes, for example, narration, argumentation, persuasion, description. The passages may vary in length from about 300 to about 800 words. Each passage is followed by 10 to 15 questions based on its content. These questions are not ordered by level of difficulty. Occasionally, a multiple choice section of the exam may have 5 passages rather than 4 with fewer questions per passage. The total number of questions is approximately the same on every exam. Now, the questions aren't ordered by difficulty, but they are ordered by chronology. So when you're reading the passage, the first question will be about the beginning of the passage. The next question will be about just after the beginning of the passage. The third and fourth questions will be about the middle of the passage. The fifth questions will be about the end of the passage, if there's 5, for example. Okay, so be sure that you can look at the passage in order to find the answers to the questions. Remember, you're not expected to be familiar with the passage or its specific content. Consider the section like a scavenger hunt. The passage will give you everything you need. It's just up to you to find it and think about it accurately. Any technical information crucial to comprehending the passage, as well as unusual or foreign phrases like from Latin or French, which some classic writers use a bit, will be defined for you. First of all, here are some critical skills that you need to know. Text analysis. Know your rhetorical modes. This sounds difficult, but what it really means is what kind of writing is it? Is it narration? Is it argumentation? Is it persuasion? Is it description? Is it classification? Is it process analysis? We will be looking at all of those types of essays, and you will be able to identify each of them. Be able to understand the author's meaning and purpose. Why did the author write this piece? What was he or she trying to accomplish? You need to think about that as well. And you need to be able to analyze and understand syntax, that is sentence structure, figurative language, style, and tone. How do the sentences work? What images, symbols, parallels, paradoxes, etc. are there? Is the style formal, academic, informal, personal, etc.? What feelings does the author convey with the passage? What's their attitude to what they're writing about? Okay, reading skills to practice practical tactics. Skim the questions first. Skim reading means to read over something to get the gist of it. Try to find about 5 basic points the questions are asking, but don't worry about details here. Just get the basic idea of the information the questions are asking about. Actively and visually read the passage. Active reading involves action. Underline what looks important. Make a few brief notes. Look for keywords and ideas and mark them. This will help you understand the passage better. To visually read the passage means to imagine some image of what the passage is about in your mind if you can. Note the stars here. I'm going to talk about a second technique for reading that seems to work better for students working in English as a second language. That will be the next slide. It's very important. Please focus on it. This longer active reading process is very good for when you're practicing for the exam. It's a little bit less practical in the exam unless you are a very fast native level reader. If you have a bit of a timing problem, there's another technique that will help you, and it's even faster and will save you a lot of time. You should also paraphrase, that is, interpret the passage to yourself in your own words. You can do this with a few short notes if you need to. This will also help you understand what you're reading. Read the questions carefully. Once you've read the passage, be sure to read the question carefully to understand exactly what is being asked. Be careful for which of the following is not true, which of the following is true except for this. Look for what they're asking. Like sometimes the question will say, what does they refer to in line 17? You'll have to go back, figure out what the context is approaching line 17, and then answer the question. Leave the hard questions till last. Not sure how to answer 1 or 2 questions? Skip them and go back and try again. and analyze your incorrect practice answers. As you do practice questions for the exam, go over the ones you got wrong to understand what kind of error you made. Why did you get it wrong? Is it a vocabulary thing? Is it a misinterpretation? Try to figure it out, and when you figure out that, you will have an easier time understanding how to do better. A note on reading. Now, if you feel that reading the entire passage will take too long for you, there's another technique you can try. First, read the opening few sentences of the passage, like the beginning of it and the title, and then read the concluding sentences. This will give you a general idea of the type of writing, rhetorical mode, and the main topic of the passage. You will get a feel for the author's opinion and purpose this way. You will definitely need to go back into the passage to answer some of the questions, but this will give you a general idea. In class practices with the last group of students I had, we were able to solve 2 or 3 multiple choice questions easily just by using this technique. And some of them can be answered by logic as well. So, don't necessarily go back and reread the passage. If you think you can, understand the answer without doing so, take it a chance. But practice that a lot first. On the exam, make sure you're answering as accurately as you can. The second technique is to read the question first and see if you can find the answer by skimming the text. Sometimes you can answer 2 or 3 questions in this way. Third, remember the questions will likely be in order of where the answers appear in the passage. The first questions will be from the beginning of the passage and later ones from the middle and the end. So keep that in mind as well. You might be able to go back and just read specific sections and not have to read the entire passage. It's a technique you can try, but you must practice by reading passages completely first so that you know how to do it the correct way. Okay, understanding which answers not to choose, a very important thing in multiple choice questions. The test makers of the AP exam are trying to mess you up with the misleading answer choices. If you recognize these misleading questions, you can quickly eliminate wrong answers and have a better chance at selecting the right one. The correct answers will never have a word that does not reflect what the passage says. Careful reading will help you. So these types of answers are incorrect. Okay, the answer contradicts the text. These answers will contain information that counters the argument or meaning of the passage. Paraphrasing skills will help you recognize this type of question. Irrelevant or absent from the text. This answer will not have any reference to it in the text at all. Careful reading and paraphrasing will again help you to see this type of wrong answer and will save you from going back and looking for something that wasn't there in the first place. Unreasonable. This type of wrong answer will make you say to yourself, where did this come from? These are pretty easy to spot as incorrect choices and can help narrow down the obvious answers. Okay. Too general or too specific? How specific do you need to be? Careful reading of the question will help here. For example, if the question asks, what is a good title for this passage? You will be looking for a general idea that addresses the whole text. If the question refers to a quotation and its meaning, then the answer will be more specific. So be careful about those, and we will definitely practice these types of questions. You'll be able to spot them easily by the time you get to the exam. In summary, with these strategies, you should have an easy time answering this section. Timing is the most difficult element. Good luck in your studies and on exam day, and practice, practice, practice. Practice in class, practice out of class, ask for extra questions, practice, 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 practice. That's all you need to do.